This is a real win for our teachers, for our kids, for our educators in the classroom, and we're grateful for your help in getting this over the finish line. We're excited that it's a bipartisan bill, and it's time to do this. So it's a good way to start the day.
Well, this video just coming into the newsroom as Governor Ducey signs the K-12 education funding bill that took hours for the Arizona state legislators to vote on. The signature is the next step to get teachers a 20% raise by the year 2020. We are, of course, staying on top of all the developments at the state capitol as lawmakers finally wrap up their marathon overnight session that began 8 p.m. and just is wrapping up.
Yeah, it was only about an hour ago that things finally wrapped up, and Javier is in front of the Capitol talking to teachers as they leave this morning, and he's got the latest. Javi, I got to remember that they were not just working on education, but the entire budget as well.
And see, Scotty, you bring up a good point, because here's the interesting thing about Governor Doug Ducey tweeting that video of him signing the K-12 education funding bill only. The entire budget has not been approved. In fact, the Senate just adjourned until later this afternoon, when they will come back and tackle and vote on the entire $10.4 billion budget. Another interesting tidbit to this, I just spoke with Joe Thomas, one of the officials of the Arizona Education Association, and I asked him, okay, the funding portion is over. Can you call this walkout ended so that those teachers can get back to the class? And he said, no, not until the entire budget is approved. Again, they're still very distrustful of the governor and the state lawmakers, especially the fact that the governor continues to promote this so-called 20% pay raise for teachers, when indeed, when we start looking at the math and start looking at all the details, it equates to 10% and below that. So what's going to happen next is still really up in the air as teachers set up out here on the state capitol lawn for day 6 in the statewide teacher walkout. Some of them have left. Some of them remain here at the state capitol. Now let's talk about that long, exhaustive overnight session. A lot of teachers saying they really got an up-close look on how the sausage is made. And this morning they refused to eat sausage again. They say that it was an ugly process, and ugly in the fact that there was a lot of bickering back and forth, Republicans versus Democrats, Democrats versus Republicans. But it was definitely an entire packed house, both in the House and the Senate. Not something we typically see when they're voting on a budget. Many of the teachers, they were already inside. Some of them poured outside, hoping that they would get the final say in the budget that they wanted, hoping for smaller class sizes, hoping for more funding for the student counselors. The Red for Ed supporters told us that they would stick around even if the final vote happened in the early morning hours, and that's how long it took. In fact, just getting that final vote from the Senate just about an hour ago. Now, again, here's the interesting part to all of this, saying that this has been an exhaustive time, not only being out here at the state capitol for 24 hours plus, but they say this fight started weeks ago when they were lining the streets of Baseline, as thousands and thousands of teachers drumming up that support. They say a lot of them are ready to get back into those classrooms. But again, Joe Thomas not ready to end this statewide walkout, saying the devil is in the detail, and not till the governor signs that final budget, the entire budget, $10.4 billion. Now, Jamie spoke with some of those teachers. I just spoke about it a second ago, saying it was an ugly process indeed that they witnessed overnight. Some of them sharing their thoughts with you this morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Hav. Yeah, really a mixed reaction. We saw the teachers applaud once the bill was passed, but then there were some hugs and then tears as well, some of joy and some of sadness. A lot of the teachers really getting a hard lesson on the politics of politics. They were telling me that they stayed here overnight. We're here at 8 p.m. We're in the gallery as the senators here were debating this bill. One teacher I spoke to, Sue Fry, she's in the Gilbert district. She came out of that building just to a crowd of her friends and just really disheartened by the whole experience. She says she was glad she was here. She was glad she got to learn part of this experience. Here's what she had to say about how the district will be handing out money.
I hope that means passing it out amongst all the people who deserve it, because there's a lot of good people who do. We're not quite as old in terms of falling down roofs and some of the other stories I've heard, and I've heard a lot of those. But we certainly need new resources and updated things just like everybody else. So I don't know how far that money will go.
Governor Doug Ducey saying in a video that he tweeted out that $100 million of the $300 million will go to support staff. I also spoke to another teacher. She had her head in her hands. I asked her if she was okay. She said she was just could not believe the lack of empathy and the disconnect that happens in our political system. So a big lesson for teachers as they spent so much time out here and then over the last night into the early morning hours watching and learning how things work. I also spoke with Senator Steve Farley. He is, of course, running for governor. He said it was incredible to have a full House as the budget was passed, something that usually lawmakers do alone. And he appreciated the attention that it was getting this morning. Back to you.
Yeah, Jamie, you talk about that. I spoke with one teacher who said, we teach our students to be civil with each other. That was not the process as Republicans were attacking Democrats. Democrats were attacking Republicans, and they said it was ugly indeed. Now, Sarah Wittenhouse, a teacher with the Red for Ed movement, sent us these pictures early this morning. This was at 1 o'clock this morning. This gives you an idea of how packed the House and Senate were with the hashtag Red for Ed movement, saying it was they flooded the House and the Senate, staying past 1 o'clock to remind the representatives of what was at stake. And then there was a line of people who were waiting to get inside to witness this entire debate. They say they want to be there when the votes come in, and the gallery has definitely been packed with Red for Ed supporters, both the House and the Senate. They remained in session till just about an hour ago, and lawmakers addressed the teachers at some point. Some of those lawmakers saying they actually voted against some of the amendments, then turning to those teachers and saying, this is not about you, this is about the system failing you, and that's why we are voting no this morning. So the bottom line here is, as the governor just tweeted out a video of him signing that K-12 education funding bill, that is indeed improved, a measure that he signed. The overall budget for fiscal year 2019 has yet to be approved, but in speaking with Joe Thomas, he says until that overall budget is approved, the statewide walkout has not ended. We'll send it back to you.